Greetings, people of Earth. I'd like to share a few notes I was making this morning. Sometimes when I've addressed the Morgellons issues to the point that I can almost relax a little bit and, you know, think about things in detail without constant distraction, I try to put into an understandable format my conclusions about these things. Basically, it's a way to make sense of why the things I do work. They do work, but they're not common knowledge. They're not really practiced by anyone else. You can't find any reference to these types of things very much. I was trying to find like treatment of skin things with fire. Researching that, I stumbled across one thing on an episode of Globe Trekker. They were in an African village, and there's a tradition there where one time a year, when celebration, they dance all night long and have these big fires. And they're like, it's hot in Africa. They're dancing around basically naked. They got some loincloth on or something. And they dance and run through the fire. Some don't run. Some just walk through the fire. Not like walking on coals. The fires are rather large with a lot of flame. And they just kind of jump over them, back and forth over the smaller ones, or in between a couple big ones where you can walk on the ground still. But the point being that the flames lick them. The flames lick their body as they go through it. I thought, that's very peculiar. That's similar to what I'm finding helps. And the reason they do it is to get evil spirits out of their skin. And that reminds me of that System of a Down song. Don't you realize evil lives in the motherfucker's skin? Anyway, so there was that. And so then later, a year later or something, I was trying to actually find evidence for fire or heat being used as a treatment. And turn that off. Sorry. Ding, go. Round one, fight. Oh. Okay, so I'm trying to find some actual, historical known evidence of this type of procedure, treatment. And it took some searching, but eventually I came up with a short clip of video of a Jewish tradition of burning their beards. Now, I think it was meant as metaphorical, and it's not, acknowledged that this is an actual, thing that helps a physical problem or an ailment. But it is a tradition of burning their beards. And they showed some Hasidic-looking Jews with their, funky hats and their big beards. And they were all, same thing. They're having a little celebration of this day. They were walking down the street. It was like a minute long at the most, this clip I found. And it was the only thing I found. And it shows a couple of the rabbi-looking guys, like, with their beard and, like, pulled up here and, like, lighting it on fire. Not their whole beard all at once, but, like they had big beards, so they take a section of it and are lighting it. I don't know if they burn it all the way down or whether they just burn half of it, or it's up to them. Who knows? But it was the same thing. It was jumping through the fire with the Africans, or the Jewish tradition of the burning of the beards. I also found several people who've made videos about warts and HPV type things on the skin, where one guy's like, this is how I got rid of my wart, and he lights a big lighter. He's like, seriously, this is how it does. And he holds his hand over the flame, and he says, I don't know what prompted me to do this. I was sitting there one day, and and I felt the heat from it on the wart, and so it seemed soothing. So I messed around with that, and after a few weeks, of doing that now and then, the wart was gone. So I don't know why that isn't known by any modern medical practitioners. Apparently, that's far too detailed of research for them to undertake. It doesn't require any, computer systems or, double-blind studies or anything, apparently. But so there's 3 examples of it I've found, and then I'm number 4 with my discoveries about the subject. So now that that's all said, here's what I have to share. This is my take personally and my understanding of what's going on with the health situation and the actual mechanism by which it's affecting us. It's not mystical, magical voodoo, and it's not, oh, so complex we could never hope to understand it unless we have a PhD in theoretical physics. Theoretical. It's all theoretical to those douchebags, but anyway. So, that's where I'll start. In the beginning, no, let's try that over again. Near the beginning, no. We're just going to go down the pages. I've got like 3 pages here, and I'll just read them and maybe elaborate a little as I go. Immovable toxins are grown out through hair and shed by skin. So these toxins come into us. We know that we breathe them, we eat them, we're injected with them, and they fill up our body, and then they cause health problems. But what is the exact nature of that health problem? How does it exhibit itself? How quickly does it come on? How extreme is it? Those are kind of left unanswered. Immovable toxins are grown, like through another growing process. The hair, the skin, which you shed. Anyway, immune system functions. Toxins, positively charged. All toxins are positively charged. That's why they're toxic. Maybe I should say that's the mechanism by which they're toxic. We are like the earth in a ground capacity, and things that come in contact with us, especially things that are microscopic in size and end up inside of our bodies, are attracted to that ground if they have a overall net positive charge. So the things that are toxic and really toxic, and the more toxic they are, the more greater that positive charge is. And they stick to us electrically. They don't want to come off. That's why they won't dissolve in water, and that's why they won't go out of our body. Okay. So, toxins. Positive charged. Physical body is equal to ground relative to the toxins. Metals are conductive crystalline structures. They have a lattice structure, as any type of crystal does, which is a repeating, form and balance. So, as a lattice structure, it's balanced, it has form, and as a physical thing, it has a wavelength. Especially being electrically conductive, it has an electrical wavelength. Okay. Immune response. Electrical charge of the positive toxins bonds them to the relative ground source, our body. Immune system prioritizes brain, glands, nervous system, and organs, internal, above all else. When your immune system is trying to push toxins that it can't seem to remove, through your normal processes of peeing and pooping or sweating or whatever, it tries to put them in non-important places or less important places. Toxins that cannot be removed due to high positive charge and or insolubility are migrated via immune response away from your core. They collect at the peripherals, tissue. That's the skin and the hair and bones too. As levels increase, its presence is noted by dry skin, blemishes, skin tags, dandruff, ashy or white silver coloration of skin and hair, texture changes, etc. As toxic levels approach critical, debilitating symptoms begin. Sensitivity, highly sensitive to a breeze or electricity or touch or light or sound. All of our senses are become highly sensitive because they're so much more conductive. Think about that. You increase the conductivity of an electrical system, you can increase its ability to sense or to conduct energy. Anyway. Okay, so sensitivity. Arthritis, gout, eczema, acne, stiff joints, and inflexible tendons, itches, and a variety of rashes, etc. Sensitivity. As septic subdermal condition grows, the right there. I can't read my own writing. Okay, as septic subdermal condition grows, the conditions for parasitic infection become ideal. Symptoms. Airplanes come in and my eyes are getting blurry. Great. Okay. Symptoms reveal immune system toxic overload and are not exclusively due to external infection or genetic weakness. It's Douchebag McJetplane. Howdy, folks. I'm here to fly my jet plane slowly over your town at low altitude. Is this thing still on? Let me see here. Okay, still on. This might become a two-parter. It's been 12 minutes according to this. I'll just try and keep it to point. Okay. Let me read that last line again. Parasitic infection becomes ideal conditions for. Okay, symptoms reveal immune system toxic overload and are not exclusively due to external infection. You don't just get an infection, your immune system's up and running full bore and you're healthy, and then an infection invades you and messes that up. You get messed up first, your immune system gets weak, and then something can infect you. I believe is the order that happens in. Okay. Infection or genetic is not due to genetics or just some infection that just comes along and takes over everything. Skin equals the largest organ and the most nerve cells on your body. So just keep that in mind. Skin is a huge organ, and also the sensory input plays for your nervous system, a lot of it. Toxic overload. Skin and hair, bones and joints. Toxins accumulate, especially in these places. Once critical acute levels are reached, symptomatic stage begins with pain, stiffness, rash, and dryness and color texture changes in the tissue. These occur first near the area that the toxins are located, as in they build up in the joints big time, so near a joint. And am I saying, my swelling of my arms and the texture and the pulsing and all that is, I first noticed at my wrists. And then after, becoming real sick and having a lot of time on my hands, I began to notice that I had that same condition going on at every one of my joints, every knuckle on every toe, every, both my ankles, every joint, every vertebrae in my spine, every one in my neck. Anywhere there's a joint, that was happening. The swelling, the pulsing, the discoloration, the texture changes, and the pain that were directly tied to my proximity to high electrical fields or airplanes flying over. So there's that. Pain, stiffness, these occur first near the area that the toxins are located. The joint is a big one in the plasma. First, symptoms of toxic condition are visible, including paleness of skin, white and ashy, where hair, normal hair, stops growing. That would be, ankles and feet. You know, there was more hair in my ankles and a little on my feet and toes and stuff when I was younger. Then as I got sick, at one point I started to notice, hey, like the hair on my leg just stops, like I'm wearing a pair of pants made of hair or something, above my ankle, when it never used to do that, and there was basically none on my feet, which was a little abnormal too. But it's something I took a notice of. So where it doesn't grow, i.e., feet, ankles, shins, other places exhibit an increase of hair growth, color change, and texture, i.e., the back areas of joints and connection points of tendons. So behind the knees and at the sides of your knee near the tendon. I've noticed since I've been doing the fire treatment that you remove all the hair there that's growing. The next day it's back, and you can torch it off. Big puffs of smoke, it's back. When I first started doing any of this, I swear there was places where you could get the crap off of you along with the hairs. It's not about the hair, it's about what's in the hair messing you up. And within minutes it was growing back. In fact, you couldn't get rid of it all the way. You could take a torch and raise your skin over and over with it, not burning yourself seriously, but it just wouldn't go away. It would only get down to a certain point and then begin to grow quickly. You couldn't look there and watch it coming out of your skin, but 10 minutes you could tell it's changed. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Here goes it. Okay. Back areas of joints and connection points of tendons. Behind the knees and sides of the head, where there's no muscle, where tendons connect. Joint. What's that say? Oh, okay. In the joints. Okay. Next one. Puffiness. Toxic overload in plasma beneath the skin, between muscle sheath and organs. So, in between things under your skin. Mine was like especially the sides of my head, back of my neck, the little rolls on the back of your neck area. That's big time place for it. Over the medulla oblongata. Okay. Skin, return, muscle. Okay. Let's see, where's that? Fatty tissue areas. That's where I was at. Well, this is a kind of a fatty tissue area, but there's also, eyelids, the eyebrows, temples, sides of the head, sinuses and ears too. That's a biggie in the sinuses. There's something going on with that. Swollen and throbbing pulse. The thump, thump, thump. There's the plane. Swollen and throbbing pulse points where heavily toxic joints extrude the overflow toxins into the skin. I believe that's why it pulses at those points, and why that's where the hairs that you burn off will grow back faster, like almost immediately sometimes. Extrude overflow toxins into the skin and plasma. It's always in proximity of an overloaded joint. Because we're joints all over our body. As in wrists, elbows, shoulders, neck, hips, spine. All joints. And electrical fields intensify and exacerbate this condition due to electrically conductive nature of metal toxin. Certain frequencies of electrical energy resonate at the wavelength of the physical component of metal toxin particles. Simply put, metal toxic overload in and of itself causes harm, but electrified metal toxin particles are akin to a force multiplier in relation to pain and harm caused to living tissues. Aside from kinetic physical energy, breaking your leg or getting shot, every disease, disorder, chronic condition, etc., affecting the health of living tissue can be directly linked to this one common source and hierarchy of disease factors, i.e., toxin weakens the body. Incoherent electrical fields add to this. A septic condition arises which allows for parasitic fungus to grow inside, hosting for larger parasites. The parasitic fungus creates that septic condition where other parasites are happy to hang out in the little forest of fungus. And all this is basically akin to cancer. When all of these factors have multiplied and combined, and your body's failing, like you're going to die, you go to doctor so and so, oh, you've got cancer. Oh gosh, if we could only figure out why. Well, everybody's born with it, so it's perfectly normal. That's what the teaching is now. Is that I mean, in a sense, it's true. You know, those are the things that are hardest to refute with our fraudulent medical system. Is that they make statements that are somewhat based on a true thing, but there's a whole lot more going on than what they're saying. They withheld information that would help people, and they promote things that actually result in harm. Now maybe they're unaware that that's what's going on. In all their research, they just didn't figure some of the things that I figured out within a couple years of being sick. Apparently, thousands of doctors spending untold trillions on research over decades have not been able to discover what I could discover in a few years on my own while sick and dying. I guess they're just not as good as they think they are. Elemental health care is what I should call it. It's like my own medical practice or something, using air, water, earth, fire, and knowing that it's in the ether. And I got a little note here. Elemental health care, alchemical interpretation as it applies to modern understanding of chemistry, physics, and electromagnetic phenomenon, which is everything. Everything's electromagnetic. You know why they can't unify the fields? We're going to find some equation to unify the fields. The electrical magnetism, strong and weak nuclear force, blah, 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 gravity. They can't unify the fields because they're trying to unify real fields with imaginary ones. And for some reason, the link just doesn't seem to be there between gravity and everything else. And I'm not so sure about the strong and weak nuclear, actually, to tell you the truth. That's something I might need to research more. But I do know, as far as gravity is concerned, it's the same kind of deal with gravity, It's a misinterpretation of a force. There is a force that allows things to go down, to fall down, but it's not an attractive force between the massive objects, and that's proven by the moon not causing tides on fresh water. I know it's a little off topic here, but it relates in that same way of misinterpreting or talking about something in an incorrect manner, like climate change. There's another example kind of like that of something that you can't say is not true. Well, yes, the climate does change. It changes all the time. It's never the same for very long, unless it's NASA, where it doesn't change for 24 hours for some reason. Anyway, look it up. So that's about all I got for now. I guess I better end this before it makes me make a second video. I think it's still recording. I haven't heard a beep. Yeah, it's, we're in a physical world. There are physical things here, and that's where we should start with. And if you are experiencing something that's unpleasant, a problem for you, don't just assume that, oh, my body is malfunctioning, causing my autoimmune response, or there's nothing wrong with me, it's just pain, it's psychological. No. When you feel it, it's real, it's based in something, and if you go and let somebody tell you that it's your imagination or that it's something else that doesn't seem like it's that, but just because you don't understand you don't understand biology, and that's why you don't realize that this is this and this is this. That's baffling you with bullshit. It's the same way that the gravitational theorists like to, if you pin them down on something like, hey, there's no tides on the grates. Oh, well, there's the transversal force of the exponential spin of the blah, 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 blah. They start writing numbers on a wall and letters and signs and have this retarded clusterfuck combination of things and say, that's how you describe what's happening. Well, if you don't understand that, then you're not smart enough to understand the science. Sorry, next. You know. And people fall for it. Well, I guess I didn't take 8 years in college, and learn all of this high complex math, so clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, I've been on a merry-go-round, and as it goes round and round, it pulls you sideways. It doesn't seem to pull you up. It doesn't seem to pull you down. It pulls you sideways. So that means when the Earth spins, that the gravity that pulls down at the North Pole and the centrifugal force pulls sideways, but gravity's magical and it stops that centrifugal force from flinging everything off of the rotating ball. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's never question it. I digressed again, but hopefully the point of the video comes across. These are my findings. This is my take on health and the physics of it. This is what we're dealing with today. Thanks for watching. Bye. Bye if I can find the button here. Okay.